Hi, this is a tutorial on playing Terra Mystica on Board Game Arena, but it is only if you have already played Gaia Project. It's kind of a backwards move, I know, but in this case we're just talking about the differences between Gaia Project and Terra Mystica if you have played Gaia Project and are coming to Terra Mystica fresh. The core of the games are fairly similar, but Terra Mystica removes a few of those features, or they were actually added when Gaia Project was created because it was created after, but there will be some of those aspects of Gaia Project missing and a few other things that have changed, that are changed as well. So we're going to go over those differences and give you a sense of how the game plays differently than Gaia Project. So first, this is the end of game scoring. In Terra Mystica, there are only these two end of game scorings in the main base game. In Gaia Project, there are two goals that change every game, that are randomly generated for the game, and that doesn't happen in Terra Mystica. It's only area scoring and cult scoring, which are the tracks here. Area scoring is simply taking your largest group of connected dwellings of buildings, and that could be connected via rivers and shipping and or even special powers, and that will be displayed over here, your connected structures as you go. It will say how many your largest is, and then the highest on these four tracks will get points at the end of the game. Again, with ties, it adds together and divides by the number of people who have tied. There are variations in BGA where you can change this, but in the base game of Terra Mystica, it's always the same two goals. These mix up. These are the end of round scoring conditions and scores for doing certain things during the round. Those change up every game, but the end goals do not. In terms of your basic resources, money is still the same, though I don't believe there is a top limit to how much money or other resources you can have, except priests are a little bit different. You have a maximum of 7 priests that you can have during the entire game. Priests are the equivalent of knowledge in Gaia Project, in that they help you move up these cult tracks, which are similar to the research tracks. And again, you'll have 7 of them, and when you use them to move up these tracks, you will place a priest on one of these numbers and move up that number of space. So if you place a priest here, you get to move up 3 spots. You place it, if that's taken, you can place it for 2 and move up 2 spots. If you don't want to lose your priest, because when you place a priest here, you lose it for the rest of the game, you can put it here, only move up 1 spot, and get your priest back at the end of the round. Or it goes back into your supply, I suppose. Oh, right, into your supply, meaning you can collect it again in a future round using something like this, scoring, or this right here where you collect priests. So you spend it, but only temporarily, where here you spend it and it stays here forever. Workers are these white cubes, which are basically iron from Gaia Project. And there are no QIC cubes or QIC abilities. It's a big difference. Those QIC cubes do not exist. And one of the main things that QIC cubes did in Gaia Project was let you build farther away. That simply does not exist in this in Terra Mystica, with an exception of shipping along the river. So each player will have these river tracks that they can move up. There are a couple exceptions with some factions, but most factions will have these river tracks. And if you move up them using this by paying a priest and 4 gold in this case, that's just usually the cost, you move up this track. And it lets you move down the river and connect things that number of spaces. Now this faction actually starts with 1, so they could be, these two could be adjacent because it just takes 1 river they can go down one river space and get to it. They're indirectly adjacent, but they can use that for building purposes. If it were 2, then they could go down 2. So this one could go 1, 2, and be adjacent to this one as well. You could also build a bridge, either using this piece or maybe a special power you can use to build a bridge. You only have 3 bridges total, but if I built a bridge between these two, for instance, then I would have a direct adjacency between those 2 tiles. So how do you build adjacent if you do not have, if you can't go to your tile type? Because every faction has a specific tile type. See, these mermaids have this swamp tile, whereas these engineers have this mountain tile as their kind of main where they can build. Now, just in like in Gaia Project, you can build in others, but you have to change them to your type first. It's kind of like terraforming in Gaia Project or doing the Gaia forming, but you have to do it with, you don't just go onto a planet and build there. You have to change it into your type first using these spades, and then you can build on it. So if you wanted to, as your action, change, if I was a mermaid and I wanted to change the forest into the swamp, it would cost me 1 spade. And my current spade rate is 3 workers for a spade, or I could get a spade from here, or there may be bonus tiles. There are other ways to get spades. These are like the terraforming steps in Gaia Project. When you change something, it's just called transforming in Terra Mystica. When you transform a land tile into the tile that you need to build on, you are allowed to immediately build on that tile. So if I was a mermaid and I built here, and I spent 1 spade and turned this forest into a swamp, I could immediately build a dwelling on it as well. If I couldn't afford the dwelling, I could just leave it. Or if I was changing this desert and it cost me 3 spades and I only had 2, I could change it to this black and leave it and then continue on a future turn. However, if you leave it transformed but not built on, other people can build on it and change it to whatever they want, or if it's their type already. So you have to kind of pay attention to that. All right. One of the biggest differences between Gaia Project and Terraforming Mars, Gaia Project and Terra Mystica, is that instead of the research tracks, you have these cult tracks, and you have these individual tracks on your board. So the cult tracks don't do quite nearly as much as the research track. You don't get really any benefits except you get power as you pass those, you get power cycling 1, 2, 2, and 3 as you go through. And then the higher up you get, they give you bonuses at the end. So like at the end of round 1 in this case, and again these will vary, for every space you've advanced in this cult, you will get 1 extra bonus. So this, you would want to go up the earth track. For everyone, you would get extra money at the end. For this one, every 2 that you're up on the fire track, you would get a worker at the end, and so on and so forth. And those adjust again every time. So the main reason you go on these cult tracks is for these bonuses, for the power that you get from them, and for the end of game scoring. Similar to Gaia Project, only 1 person can be on this top spot at the end of each one, and you have to have built, instead of a federation, a town, and we'll talk about that in a sec. And then you have these 2 tracks basically on your own boards instead of on the research track, and that's for making the spades cheaper with workers and making shipping more. And when you move up that track by paying this, you also get points for that, these points that you get along the track. Also, when you build a these are called, I forget what these are, but basically these research center and the academy, these you get a favor tile, and these will also move you up the track and give you benefits. So these up here would just move you up 3 spaces on each of these tracks. These ones will move you up 2 and give you a benefit. These will move you up 1 and give you probably a better benefit. When you can, so the power cycling is the same as Gaia Project, including the fact that you can sacrifice power, get rid of a power to move one from here, from 2 to 3. However, unlike Gaia Project, there's no way to get that power back. So this is your pool of magic or power for the game, and if you sacrifice it, then you lose it completely. You also have a few conversions that you can use to get priests, workers, or money. So instead of federations, like we said, you have towns. Most of it's the same. Each of the types of buildings have levels of power, and you have to have at least level 7. However, you have to have at least 4 buildings as well. You can't do like one of these, and one of these to make 7. You have to have at least 4 buildings in your town. And you can't have, and then if you do the town, you get one of these town tiles, which are like the Federation tokens, which you need to get to the top spots here. There is also passive power gain, like the Gaia Project, but instead, whereas in Gaia Project you get power, you take your highest level building, and you can gain power minus, like if it was one of these, I would take 3, and I would gain 3 power, but lose 2 points. Instead of just taking your highest level, it takes all touching buildings to whatever thing is being upgraded or built, and totals that up, and you can take all of that power for minus victory points, 1 less than that power. Let's see, I think that is about it. Yep. Obviously, all of the different factions have different abilities, and those will be explained. Like this one is able to use river tiles to build towns for adjacency. This one you can always just build bridges as the engineers. Some have different costs. They have different starting, very similar to the way that Gaia Project works with the different factions, though these aren't quite as wildly different as the Gaia Project factions. When you pass, you have these bonus tiles that you pull that give you various powers as well. Those are the main differences, and with that, you should be able to play Terra Mystica if you played Gaia Project before. Again, the main difference about it is that adjacency, making sure that things are adjacent either through shipping or just directly, and then the terraforming using those spades, you have to transform and then build, and if you leave things unbuilt, others can use them, or you can leave them partially transformed and so forth. And then the cult tracks are much different than in Gaia Project. There are no QIC cubes. All right, hope this is helpful. Thanks.